What is up? What is up? I'm live. I don't normally go live because it's almost like freestyling. But I have a guest today, someone who's been my Instagram friend for a while, and we actually met on set. We worked together. His name is Angel, and he hit me up in my DMs and told me he had done the toad venom, two toads, or a frog and a toad, Cambo and Bufo Alvarius toad. And so I'm waiting for him to come into the room so I can ask him a few questions about his experience. Until then, anybody out there who has any curiosity about spiritual enlightenment, I also have two dogs, so if you hear them bark or scratch, that's why. Okay, there we go. If you have any curiosity about, there's Angel, about spiritual enlightenment and understanding more about what is going on, there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and, how do I add you, Angel, so we can ask you some questions? Let me see. Go live with Angel. There we go. This is my first time sharing an online session with Angel. What up, Angel?
Hey man, how you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. I don't know if my internet is the best. I am in the kitchen, far away from the Wi-Fi, so I'm using like my regular. Am I good? Am I showing pretty well?
Yeah, yeah, you look great.
Sweet, sweet. Let me angle myself up a little bit. Awesome, awesome, man. Good to see you again.
Likewise.
It's been a long time.
It has been a long time.
Yeah, like what year was that when we worked together? That was last year, right? It was. I
Yeah.
mean, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. No. It was actually the year before.
Oh wow,
That,
time is flying.
that was like 2018, man.
Yo, sincere her. Yeah, hit me up in my DMs. Angel, man. So you did the toad venom and you did the frog venom, the Cambo.
I did both. I did Bufo and Cambo.
Did you do them both in the same session?
No, it's recommended that you do Cambo the day before you do the Bufo.
Ah, okay,
Because
okay.
like my friend who's the shaman that did the whole ceremony, she explained to me that, well, the teacher that kind of like brought her up, he explained to her that if you do Cambo the day, you can't do Bufo and then Cambo. It's too for the system, for your body.
Gotcha.
It can cause some side effects.
Now, why Cambo first?
Because that's where I was going. So Cambo, it's a purge, basically. So it cleans you. So basically, in the ascension process, right? The cleaner our bodies, the easier we're able to connect.
Gotcha.
So for example, things like Cambo, right? Cambo clears up, as she likes to say, the pipes. So
okay.
at the Bufo, you can experience it way more deeper because it's allowing you to be cleaner in order to experience it.
Nice, nice. Almost like you can't fill a cup that's already full.
Yeah, you can't. And also like specifically what Cambo does in the body. I don't know if you haven't done it, right, Cambo?
I haven't done Cambo.
Okay, so it has no psychoactive effect on the body.
Right. Well, I've done a lot of research and I've seen videos that kind of like, So yeah, tell me about your experience.
Well, it's different because I have been dealing with like an autoimmune condition for a while. I know about and kind of like got, but that's like a whole different story. But anyways, so I have been doing with autoimmune. Some people recommend it for autoimmune because of the cleansing effects. I did it with my partner, and she got 5 ducks, and she purged.
Oh wow! How many?
I got 3 ducks, and I did not purge.
Okay. Why didn't you do 5?
Because she wanted to see how I reacted to it. Because some people get swollen after it, like in
Right.
their face a little bit. And I mean, you're seeing me way better now, but basically I have this weird, basically I had an interaction with some vaccines in last
Uh-huh.
year, and apparently my immune system didn't take it too well.
Oh shit.
It started creating chronic inflammation. Um, and basically, like this whole side of my face was affected. So you could see a little bit of my eye,
Oh
but
wow.
this was completely swollen shut, and my cheekbone and my hair fell here, dude. It was like,
Dang. So you didn't get beat up.
no, I did not get beat up.
Dang, but wow. So that was from the Camboys? I mean, that's from the vaccine.
That was from the vaccines. Yeah, a lot of people say like, oh, you know, like you're an anti-vaxxer. We're not talking about
Right.
anti.
We're just
I'm
talking
just
about
saying,
the actual response that your
yeah,
body.
it's just about understanding. Hey, even with medicines that are natural and medicines that are like, you know, like ancestral medicines, everybody has a different reaction to them. There's not one person that will have the same reaction as the other, you know, like,
Mm.
so it's very individual. You can't go into something like that. I mean, you go with an intention of what you want to, what you
Right.
want to, because that's why you do it. But your body can have different reactions. In my case, I've backtracked. I've backtracked on my health to the point before and after the vaccines. And since I'm kind of like, I like all this scientific medical stuff, I did blood work before and after. So
Uh,
I wanted to see how it would affect me. And I know for certain that something in the list of vaccines that I took altered my immune system.
so
So that,
it was like a cocktail of vaccines.
yes, because I was going to go work in India. I worked on the Christopher Nolan movie Tenet last
Nice.
year. Yeah, and I was gonna go work with them, and you know the production company kind of like recommended that people follow the CDC guidelines, you know, which I did, but it ended up costing more than it actually protected me. So
Uh,
you have to be. It's specifically the thing is, I didn't know for a fact that I had a lying autoimmune condition. At the time, I had no real symptoms of it. So
dang.
what the doctors that I've seen have come to the conclusion is that somehow those vaccines triggered an even bigger autoimmune reaction.
Mm. Are you when you say it triggered the reaction? Are you? And I see it. You said it's coming down like your face and stuff. That is that reaction like an ongoing thing, or was it just that reaction and now you're healing from it?
Oh, the only thing that I had was a little dot in my head that had happened before that, but that was it. No other symptoms,
Wow.
nothing. Well, to the point now that I've gotten so many studies done, like they've done everything, bro. Like they've done like a needle through my face, biopsy. They did a biopsy of my bone marrow, which they stick like a little drill on your back on your hip, and they extract the bone marrow, and then they test that out. And you know, luckily, I'm thankful to God and to the universe that I don't have any sort of form of cancer. Um,
Wow.
the doctor says that it's a disease that behaves like a cancer, but it's not a cancer, which is really weird. And basically, there's no name for it because literally they haven't even really dealt with someone that has it. It's a very
Right.
weird condition.
Now,
Actually,
the reaction was after, well, before Cambo.
no, yeah, yeah, way before, way before. I was doing Cambo and Bufo just trying to, because you know, at the time when I did it, you know, my face, bro, like, I'm serious. My
So you
eye
was
was,
already swollen.
no, oh my God. I was so swollen because it went incrementally growing for like a year and a half.
Oh my goodness.
And I was trying different things to kind of like get a hold of it. Diet, you know, meditation, everything. You know, I was hitting it from all, so they say, I was hitting it from all sides.
So
But
pretty
not,
much that was your. It sounds to me like that you were going through like this self-realization experience, and then working on yourself and kind of becoming closer with oneness through it
yeah,
all.
yeah.
That's funny you say that, is because that's also how I got introduced to being extra spiritual, or let's say focusing on enlightenment, versus when I used to be a Christian. and I switched that because I had a disease in my stomach, and the doctors are saying that maybe it was Crohn's disease. They couldn't, and maybe it's gastritis, but whatever. They couldn't determine what it was, but I couldn't eat anything. And so I did a water fast for 3 days. After, of course, like 5 months of pain, I finally said I'm going to discipline myself and did a 3-day water fast. And it ended it. Afterwards, I still felt like some healing, like I felt like scarring inside. But take some black seed oil and, of course, keeping my diet right, no gluten, no dairy. And from then on, it never came back. And, well, of course, I don't eat gluten and dairy still, so I don't know if it'll ever come back. But, no, that's kind of how I even found out about, these medicines. Now, question to you, when you knew, how long are Cambo and Bufo, a lot of the people that are watching and live, watching this video, they don't even know, a lot of times they don't even know what this is. How did you even come across the information to even first, try to do it?
So my friend, that's the shaman, she's very close with me. So I've seen her involvement throughout the years, and she started posting about it. And I saw it over there. I kind of have heard of it. And I saw a couple documentaries and I read about it. And then my partner, she was like, dude, I really want to do Bufo. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. I was apprehensive at first. But she's like, oh, your friend, because she's my friend, the shaman, she's like, she's recommending for us to do combo one day, and then the next day we do Bufo. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it, And we did it. The swelling, it helped. I felt less swollen. The thing is that it's very hard, like, when a doctor says you have, which is what they said I had, lymphadenopathy, which is something related to the lymphatic system, right? Don't know. So the lymphatic system, it's divided. You have the one that's on your skin, right? And then you have the, which is like the kidneys and the prostate gland and all of that stuff in men, right? And in women, it's different. So the one that's on the skin, it doesn't have a system of pumping out toxins.
Okay.
It needs to be stimulated. And
Right.
Brushing, like moving around, doing exercise, that's stimulation.
They say jogging helps a lot with that, yeah.
Yes.
You're stimulating, yeah.
Exactly. So what this doctor, because I'm telling you, bro, I've been from Puerto Rico, United States, different doctors. I even had a doctor in New Zealand.
This was last year, or you saying a year in the making?
It started after, when I took the vaccines, 2 months after the vaccines, the inflammation started.
Okay.
And then it kind of like incremented till this year, which now it's starting to kind of like go down. But it's been a process. And in all this process, what a doctor came to the conclusion is that in this process of the vaccines, since I probably had an already weakened immune system because of stress, many other things, beliefs.
And your job, the stuff you do.
The job, everything. So she's like, when these vaccines came in contact with your body, you were very stressed out probably. And something from the vaccines ended up getting stuck in the lymph node on your neck, which is where all the swelling started. But the doctors in the US, they don't have a way. They don't even, they can't wrap their heads around thinking how to drain a lymphatic system because the lymphatic system just shows inflammation. So they just respond to the inflammation with steroids because they want inflammation. But that's not getting rid of the problem. That's
right. That's not finding a cure. That's just like a treatment.
No.
Yeah,
it's a treatment. So I said no to steroids. I was like, hell no. Like, you don't know what's going on with me? I'm not taking steroids. I know,
right? You already screwed me up once.
Yeah, it's like, and I've been doing it holistically with vitamin, with different modalities, like obviously with my mind, a lot of it too.
Do you have a before picture? I mean, or like a picture in the beginning when it's...
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, you got to see it. I want to see if I can make that like a thumbnail or something,
Dude, in April,
see your growth.
Dude, in April, my eye was like this.
And so when with your face like that, and during the pandemic, were you allowed to be around people, or people scared, or?
Dude, I got thrown out of places.
Oh, that's horrible.
And people, and the crazy part is, it wasn't people that I didn't know. I went to get a haircut at a place of some people that I knew the owners, and somebody in the shop felt uncomfortable, and that created like a whole avalanche of shit. And they were like, "Oh, dude, they don't feel it." I'm like, "What the? You guys are, you know what?" And I'm telling you, during the pandemic, this is how I know, like, the body's really powerful. It's a machine, man. I've gotten on planes back and forth during the pandemic and before the pandemic, and I've gotten tested for COVID, and I've never gotten COVID. But I get on that plane knowing that God and that the Creator is protecting me at all times, and that I don't need to be afraid of it. You
Right.
know? And obviously, you take safety measures. You wash your hands. Something
Right.
everybody
Face
doing.
without works is dead.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, come on, man, wash your hands. You know, it's not that hard.
Right, right. Wow. Well, my question to you is, why did you take these medicines?
So at the time when I was dealing with all this, you know, I was really overwhelmed. You know, I was questioning whether it was even worth it living under these conditions, because, you know, you don't know what the hell's going on. You don't want to be swollen. I was depressed at the time, for sure. And I am a very happy, energetic person, which is like, people see me and they don't think I'm depressed, you know. So they will never think that I'm depressed, because I'm very active, you know, and positive. So that helps me. But I was depressed at the time, and I was like, you know what? My whole face swelled up. No one knows. I followed the guidelines. This all happened. They want to give me steroids. I'm not taking them. Really, there's not anything that I'm gonna lose if I try it, you know?
Right,
like,
right.
Let's just jump on the unknown and see what the hell happens, you know?
Yeah.
and I did it, you know? And I got the people that were there can testify for this that happened, because she says, the shaman, referring to she says that what happened to me after the session of Bufo was something that she's only seen it happen only one other time.
What happened?
But it happened to me. So, dude, it's mind-blowing. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. But basically, I had my eyes closed for the entire time. We did it on a beach, like a private beach, like around 5. So it was, you know, almost perfect magic hour. It was a great day. You know, on the edge of the water, on the sand. My friend has instruments, so she was playing the instruments while this whole thing was happening. She was singing. It was life-changing, right? And dude, I get goosebumps only by thinking about the experience. It's crazy. So I don't know how many, did you do 1 or 2 hits?
When you say hits, in order to get all the way to the top, you're saying like in one session, right?
Yeah, when you do the pipe.
I only did 1 long hit, like a long, like in the video, he counts down like 10 seconds while I'm stuck.
They all do it. They all do it.
And then I had to hold my mouth, and I was gone.
I did 2.
What?
I did 2.
Oh,
my partner.
Goodness. So you.
Yeah, my partner went before me. She only did 1, and as soon as she did it, she was gone.
Right, right. Me too.
I have tolerance for this kind of thing. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hit it good. I want to be gone. And like, okay. And she started counting. I did the first one. She pushed me back, and I was still strong. I didn't go. And then she gave me another one. And when she gave me the second one, she counted and she pushed me back, and I fell in the sand. Right.
Nice.
And I fell in the sand, and I couldn't move. But I was just saying thank you in Spanish at the time.
You was aware though.
Yes, but I felt like I was falling, like through space, right? And I was just being grabbed. I felt like something was holding me, but I was just falling.
When you say grabbed, or well, like it didn't feel like hands. It just felt like you were being
not like hands, but I felt like I was being like, imagine somebody has its hands like this and you're falling, and like the hands, like there's something underneath you preventing you from fall into death. but I was experiencing out of my body. It was a rush of fractals, lights. I felt really thankful because I felt very happy and euphoric. And when I got back from that she finished singing and playing the instruments, I kind of like woke up and I was still coming in and out. And before I went up, I had my hands spread open, like in a Christ position. Right. And I'm not exaggerating. I had my hands like this. I felt my hands come together, but I wasn't controlling them. As I did that, I stood up and I started moving grits. I don't know how I did it.
Did they film you?
No, they didn't. Everybody, they were
in the moment. Yeah.
And I started like doing all these grits. Like, you seen those the Hindi kind of like gods that have like many hands?
Yeah.
So I literally was going like warp speed with my hands. Like I couldn't it wasn't me moving my hands.
Wow.
As I got up, I incorporated myself and I started running on the beach and jumping super high.
And you was aware?
And I was aware at that point, but I was aware, but I wasn't in control of my body. I was just kind of like, I had this
engulfed in it.
Yeah. And after that, I started like kneeling, and I started like kneeling on the earth and just giving thank you. And I just felt like sending love to the entire world. And that's what I did for like 10 minutes after it all happened. And then I kind of like came back, and I was like integrating for like a week because I still couldn't wrap my head around how did my hands move that way? Like, why did, and I mean,
well, I have a question for you, but first I want to just acknowledge the people watching. We only got like 2 people watching.
Yo, look, my partner just jumped in there. Huh?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I want to let everybody know I want to answer some questions. Carlos, I see you. Thank you guys for joining. My question to you is, did you do any kind of spiritual work before or prior to taking this medicine?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Now what like when you say you did, what kind of work did you do?
Well, I've been on a quest for quite some time now. I mean, I was raised Christian, right? And I still believe in Christ, and I believe in his consciousness. Right. I believe it. I believe 100% in the message that the Bible brings. The thing is, you can't talk about something that you haven't studied. I don't know about theology. There's stuff in the Bible that needs to be studied and like needs to be like addressed in the context where it happened. Right. you can't judge people based on Judaic or like Jews and the way they were, behaving in the desert for 40 years. Like it was different times. It was different moments. I personally believe in the message of the New Testament and the message, and I believe in all of it, but I choose to ground myself in the message of the New Testament and in the message that Jesus came to bring to this earth, which, resuming it in 2 words, it's unconditional love. That's it. There's nothing else to it. Like, there's no, and it's hard to understand because if you think of unconditional love, it's very powerful, and so going back to the question, because that could go in an easy tangent. I have been doing work, like I started doing a lot of work with my subconscious through neuro-linguistic programming. And I joined a school that's called Transform Destiny from LA. And they do seminars live where you come and you talk, and they do all these techniques of your subconscious mind to reprogram the subconscious. They do them live in a group setting, and it's really awesome. And that kind of like that opened me up. I always had been spiritual, but really this whole situation with my body kind of like opened me up to connecting back to my divinity, and knowing that it's part of you, everywhere you go at all times. But with that said, it is required that if you want to be spiritual, you put in the work. It's not, being spiritual is not like, oh, I'm going to just sit here and watch TV and I'm spiritual. No.
Right,
you have to meditate.
There's a difference between believing in something and knowing something, and there's a difference between thinking you know something and really knowing something, because like I told a friend, it's like when you, like, let's say for eating healthy, for example, when it comes to eating healthy, let's say someone who doesn't eat healthy, they know what is eating healthy. They know, you know, that they should eat healthy. They know that it's better for them, whatever, but they don't know it enough to actually do it. And they think they know enough to actually do it, but no, there's a disconnect, because if you really knew it, you would do it. It's something you don't know, you know what I mean? And so when you humble yourself into not knowing, you kind of become unbiased, you know what I'm saying? And that's where the love, I think, comes from, the unconditional love, where it's like, you love all things. You're not choosing something. You're not choosing to believe. You're not choosing not to believe. You're actually resting in that, in this gray area that we call, I would say, spirituality, where you can focus on that and expand that, and then you will see the lies or the misfortunes or the manipulations of believing something or not believing something. So yeah, I definitely get that. And when you say you took you did meditation, a lot of that stuff before you did Cambo too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now my experience with Bufo, when the come up happens, you know, of course it's like less than 10 seconds for me. When it came up, there was like, I would say, sections of how I felt as I went to different areas. Now, in meditation, there's, after 10 minutes, I get to a peaceful state, like a state where it's like almost like Zen, right? But at 20 minutes of meditation, I'm not here anymore. I'm gone. So in Bufo, the first 10 seconds, it was like coming up to that like peaceful state. And then it was almost like demolishing that peaceful state to nothingness. And it was like you was exposed to everything that exists, because everything that exists came from this thing that this nothingness, this I would say, I want to call it space, because it's like it's the only thing. It's the neutralness of all things that everything is created from. There's nothing that is created that has always existed other than through this thing that has always existed. And that thing that we rest in when I was in Bufo, when I call it in Bufo, is it's the state of who I truly am. So when I rest in that, I notice that everything is that. And so you and me were not different. You know what I mean? This is what I'm learning. Like, I learned this before Bufo, but it was a belief. It wasn't a knowing. And so after I took Bufo, it became annoying, to where I realized that, oh, shoot, I'm Angel. I'm you. I'm not a version of you. I'm not a part of you. I'm not anything. I am you. When you start to focus on what you really are, you'll focus, when you really, and since you've already experienced Bufo, you'll focus and you'll go right back to that state. You'll realize that's what I really am. And then so everything else is the ego, and it's like a self-image, this thing that we put on ourselves. And so therefore, that thing that you really are, that essence, that not even essence, because it feels like it's still separate. That thing that you really are is, when I focus on that, I'm that too. There's no difference. There's no characteristics that are different from mine and yours. And that's what I got from Bufo. So I've never taken Cambo before, though. So I want to know, like, when you said you was fully aware in your Bufo experience, and you said you're still right now, you're still like unwrapping it all. You still feel like you're unwrapping everything that you
Yeah, no, for sure. I the thing is that, you know, what's really interesting is that I started practicing. I started reading. I read already the book Becoming Supernatural from Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you heard of that book.
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah. So Becoming Supernatural of Joe Dispenza, he has like it's an amazing book. I've already read it like 3 times, but I like reading books, and I read them once, and then I go back to the beginning and I read them again. And sometimes I'm halfway through it and then I go back, because then every time I read it, I already know what they're going to say. And that's when you know that you're in that like 3rd stage of learning, which is conscious competence, where it's starting to become a subconscious knowing.
Right.
That's how it works. It goes through those 4 stages where, you know, you start integrating it more and more. It goes deeper into the mind.
Yeah, and then so you've only taken it once, right? Well, two puffs once.
Yeah.
So, and that's, do you feel like, based on the people that are watching, do you feel like that? Well, first of all, my belief about Bufo is that it's like when I meditate, like I was telling you, the 10-minute, 20 minutes. If you take Bufo, it kind of, you save some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I do find the benefit in it. And so I want to ask you, it's like, would you say that it's something that the majority or people without, medical issues, or, of course they do their own due diligence, but would you agree that this is something for probably all people to
Yeah.
experience at least once?
Yeah. I think that I have a lot of respect for Bufo because I respect psycho that like stuff that has to do with 5-MeO DMT, anything that has to do with that, it's really powerful. Because I mean, your own body creates this
Mm-hmm.
chemical. It's created in your brain from the pineal gland, right? It's just the amount you're taking in while you're awake what really changes
Right,
it. That's the
right,
only
right.
difference. It's something that your body produces. You're just being induced to like go into that production and feel it more. That's it. There's no.
Yeah, but another thing is that like monks, people who spend 20 years, sometimes their entire life, seeking, to even understand a piece of what we're talking about right now. Those monks, though, that the effort that you have to put into it to even do it naturally without the medicine, is possible, but it's less likely for someone, especially in the Western, world over here in the United States, to spend that much time and dedicate their lives to that. Like you were saying, with spirituality, it's like it's work to be done.
Mhm.
With Bufo, I realized that it's a great, even if you, are a Christian or any kind of religion you are, it doesn't matter. It's like when you take this medicine, you understand what you've been studying this whole time anyway, a little bit better than what you did before.
Of course,
And so,
and sorry to interrupt, and
no,
and
no.
and it's that's I wanted to mention. I think it's important to people to know that. So it's not about it's not about the DMT. What I think it's about you finding yourself and knowing what you truly are, because we've been so conditioned to believe that we are this shell, that
Mhm.
we're organs and skin and bones and matter, and when you think about when you're in the matter, there's so much density to it, like I've had to basically disconnect. Like, this is the way that I see it. I've had to disconnect myself from my body in order to not get anxious every day because my eye is swollen.
Mm.
So
So
I've been
you naturally practice.
practice it, because if I pay attention to the density of my body, if I start looking, oh my God, it's still, why isn't it go? What? Then I'm not allowing the universe to do whatever it has to do. And then maybe my lesson in life is to create self-acceptance with me. And this is why it
Wow.
happened.
And it's funny you say that. You say you're not really much into theology or whatever, but in the Bible it also mentions, pretty much taking up your cross. You know what I mean, and kind
Mm-hmm.
of dying in the flesh, dying
Mm-hmm.
in the flesh every day, constantly. And
Yeah,
and
that's what
that's
it means.
like word. That's like wording, but in today's time, if I had to re-say that thing, I would say die in the self-image or
Yeah.
any kind of thought period that you may think. Die in it, any beliefs that is not present in front of you, whether it's the past or the future, even if it's something like homework. When you realize that these thoughts are stirring something up inside of you, like anxiety or fear or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is, no matter what it is, when you just die in it and you focus on being present, you then, you do this constantly, do it every day, it'll become second nature, like you said. You get higher and higher. And I don't like to say higher or lower, because again, that makes people think that there's levels to this. When
Yeah.
really, it's really and it's an expansion. It's opening up and accepting all things. So I
So,
definitely love what you got
Raphael,
going on.
I was gonna say, so this book, Becoming Supernatural,
Uh-huh.
Joe Dispenza has his own meditations that you can find on YouTube, or you can buy them from him. The original tracks, they're always best, but they're like $25. They're not that expensive. But,
Mhm.
if you want to just experience with them on YouTube, I have to say I've done them. I've done most of them except one of the meditations that's on the book, which is the longest one. I'm still getting to that because I start getting like my body starts getting uncomfortable after like 30 minutes. So I normally, when it's really long meditations, I do them laying down.
Okay. Okay. Now, I also recommend if for anybody watching to do them, if you're doing them laying down, make sure you don't do them at night because you might fall asleep. It's your
Yeah,
bedtime.
but that's good though. You know, he has one of the meditations that he recommends people to do it from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m.
Ah, wow.
And that's the pineal gland meditation, because during those times is when you have the most amount of DMT available in the pineal gland. That's when it's
Right.
secreted.
Well, based on some studies that I've read, now, mind you, this is coming off the top of my brain, but basically, when you are going about your day on a daily basis, you are building up melatonin to release when you lay down and rest to go to sleep, and so when you release your melatonin, it starts to use the melatonin, and while you're asleep, you start to build serotonin so you can wake up and have a day the next day. Now, based on like with DMT, and it being already produced in our bodies, from my memory, it says that you will, like, let's say the day you die, you're alive. Let's say right now you almost use me. I hate some
Okay.
people are superstitious, but all right. So let's say today I'm alive, I'm awake, and so let's say that tonight I die, and I don't get to go to sleep. So I've been building up all this melatonin throughout today, and when you die, your brain's it's not going to convert to serotonin because you're not going to wake up again. So your brain convert the melatonin to DMT. And so I can understand, like, at night and during that time, you probably would have the most melatonin to even do these kind of exercises, but it produces DMT. And then after DMT is produced, of course, DMT is considered the spirit molecule. So it's almost like about the journey, and then so 5-MeO DMT is considered the God molecule because it's the destination. It's where, so the transition from melatonin after you die to DMT, and then the pineal gland converts that DMT to 5-MeO DMT, and you're not here anymore. Pretty much same experience we get as with the Bufo various told. So I definitely get what you're saying. Like 1 to 4. I've never purposefully stayed up to do a meditation during that time, but I have done meditations prior to sleeping, and but only for the purpose to sleep.
No, but he also, like, it's really interesting because I did it the other day. I haven't woken up at 4 a.m. to do it. He wakes up at 4 a.m. because he takes 2 hours to go into the present moment. That's what he does. He wakes up and he destines 2 hours of his day just to get in the present moment.
Wow.
Because the moment that you wake up, if you're thinking about emails or things you have to do, you're not in the present moment.
Right. Well, see, the 2-hour thing, that sounds to me like some real work.
Yeah.
For me in the mornings, I'll do like a 30. I used to do 30 minutes. Now, this morning I did like a 15-minute meditation, and then I go straight into my yoga and maybe smoke a little. And so my mornings, and then I also lately for the past 2 weeks, I've kind of put my phone on do not disturb. And sorry, Mama, I know she called me yesterday. I haven't called her back, but I definitely. And he said he takes 2 hours to get into the present moment.
He takes that. I feel like for me the sweet zone, because I have like I normally wake up. I do like I've been doing like qigong or like tai chi in the morning, and I use that as a morning meditation, and then I do that in breath work. And then after that, I tend to try to meditate after lunch, like a meditation. The more you do it, the thing is, with the Joe Dispenza, because he was talking a lot about these experiences that people have while in his seminars. So I was like, wait, if all these people can have these experiences only with breath, then that means that I can have them too, And I noticed that now that I have that point of reference from the Bufo, when I did the pineal meditation, I got to the feeling of Bufo without it.
Yes, bro. Like, honestly, that's one of the main tips or just information I would give to anybody who's watching this video is that after you take Bufo, at least from my experience and based on what Angel just said about his experience, is that you have now a reference of where to go. Almost like or kind of like you have these handlebars that have led you there, and so now you can go back there again on your own. And if you don't have a reference, then there you don't know where to go. So I do recommend that anyone take Bufo. Make sure you, of course, take a dose that would do what that'll knock you out. Versus some people, like the second time I took Bufo, I didn't go there mainly because I was doing a microdose to see what that was like. Because I was doing a lot of research, just trying to figure out things. And the second time, it didn't get me as an ego death, but it did do it did the first 10 minutes of meditation. Basically, I took it, and I was only there for like 5 minutes. And when I took it, I went straight to that, like as if I meditated for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. And so after that, I actually did a meditation. And of course, I was already there. I didn't have to waste 10 minutes of my time to sit there and rest. You know what I mean? And to kind of let go. So because it forces you to let go. Honestly, if you take a ego death experiencing dose, then of course you will have to let go. There's no way you can hold on.
And also, like, I think it's a lot about, I mean, at least me, what I've learned throughout my health experience, like I say to people, our bodies are so sensitive, I have nothing against people that drink alcohol, but since all this started, I stopped drinking any sort of form of alcohol, and I said, you know what, like right now that I've been so long without drinking because of this, but not because of this, because I'm actually seeing now the benefits of it. Like my whole entire state of like how I feel and how I interact with people in a social environment, like it's completely changed because I don't actually get like, I don't even think about having a beer. Like before it was like, oh, how can I go out and not have a beer at least?
Right.
Oh, you guys have all the beers you want. But, in my experience, I've spoken to a lot of people that are old people, like my grandmother and a lot of them that are like 80, 90 years old. And there was one guy that I met. He was like, he died like a couple of years ago. He died of like 88, 89. I mean, if you ask me, I think that's a lot of years to have lived.
That's enough.
And one day I said to him, yo, like, how did you do it? And he said, I did 2 things. And I said, what were those? And he's like, I stopped drinking after 30s and I got married after 30 and I never went out again. That's what I did. It was so funny because, it's like, okay, yeah, whatever. Everybody can have their take on it, but if you think about it, like your body, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not against having a cup of wine or whatever.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is when you really went like through all this experience, when you look at yourself, and you're like, what happened? How did I get here with this inflammation? How did this happen? Like, I have to pay more attention to what I put in my body because then this made me aware that my body is more sensitive than I thought it was.
Yes.
So,
yes. I look back on my life. I'm like, how in the world was I doing and eating and all these things? I'm like, I can't do that anymore.
No.
You're not aware of it. It was still doing the same damage.
It's the same thing. Like you tell people like, hey, meditate. Oh, but I don't like just laying around and not doing anything. Do you know what? At the end of the day, we are not this that we are experiencing. This is only for a short while. They give us this opportunity for us to learn. And imagine this. This is what I'm also like integrating. Is if you died tomorrow, if I died tomorrow, I can't take any of my prized possessions. I can't take my piano. I can't take my computer. I can't take my car. I can't take my house. If all you take is the experiences your soul had in this earth, what experiences do you want your soul to have while you're thing? What experiences are you gonna take with you? How did your soul grow during this time?
Right.
Or did your soul just, you came, you had $1 million, you have millions of dollars, you didn't learn squat, and then you took nothing, and then you have to come and do another lesson to try to learn something more, like it's something that it's very sensitive to, to understand, and also Raphael, like, I think that it's very important, worth mentioning. Hey, if you are looking or you're on your spiritual quest and you're listening right now, and you're like, oh shit, I'm scared of doing this bufo. Oh, I'm scared of having mushrooms. Oh, I'm scared of this. Oh, I'm scared of that. Just evaluate. You know, like I've seen people that tell me, oh, that's frogs, that's satanic, and I'm like, you eat pork, bro. People eat pork feet. And you're telling me that because I took a little bit hit of a bufo of a frog, I'm like, there's no real difference. The difference here is what meaning you give to that. You know, like, why do we have to say, oh, that's bad or that's good? We're not who. And going back to the beginning of our conversation, we are not who to say what's bad and what's good. Because maybe there's something that for you, it's good, but for me, it's bad. And then we get into that whole kind of like, you know, oh yeah, you're wrong, I'm right. No, there's
Right, right.
no, it really is what you make it, you know?
And well, back to what you were saying about, like with the alcohol, you know what I mean? That brought a lot of things to my attention, is that another benefit of this Bufo medicine is that it has been shown many times to help with psychological issues, whether it be, bipolar, schizophrenic, or any kind of addiction, anything really, because if you focus on it, you'll become aware of what you're doing, once you take the medicine. So therefore, it kind of, it puts you in the knowing. So when you can't force yourself to pick up that drink anymore, because you know that it's not good for you. There's no way that you can convince yourself anymore that is, and that's the lie that we have been telling ourselves before, any kind of spiritual awakening, no matter what you do to seek any kind of understanding, you are in a place where you just don't know, you know what I mean? And it's all about, and that same thing, back to the Bible, Jesus dying on the cross, they're killing him, and he still admitted to God that God forgive them, for they know not what they're doing. They don't know, you know what I mean? No matter how bad, and that's that unconditional love that you was talking about. You know what I mean? That's the unbiased love. No matter what that person is doing, even if you're killing me.
And it's also what you mentioned earlier. You're me, I'm you.
Right.
You know what they're doing? They're killing themselves, you know?
Yeah, because if they knew, they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, they wouldn't do it. Think about that. That also goes back to like the law of oneness, and that brings you to understand that because your neighbor is not your family directly by blood, he is still part of you. Because we're all part of each other. Because we're all in, like, people are so obsessed with aliens, right? They're like, aliens. And I'm like, guys, we are aliens. Spaceship in the middle of space, like in a planet in the middle of nowhere. Like,
people are so obsessed. Now, this is, of course, we're going on a different tangent now, but people are so obsessed with periods of time. What I mean is that even I go over to my brother's house, shout out to my brother. He, him and a lot of other people may believe, like, say, okay, let's say we say people from Africa or the first people or whatever. When you start to think about that, it's like whether we were first people of being aware that we're people or not aware of it, we didn't come first. Like the earth has been here, and without the earth, without the sun, we would all die. So therefore, it doesn't even matter who was the first people, or even when people talk about, back in my day, or hey, call me because texting is too new. You know what I mean? And it's like, what, call you? Calling is new. Phones are new. What are you talking about? So when you step away from being biased towards a time or a certain type of people or a certain belief of aliens, when you step away from those separations, those distinctions of one thing, because that's what it really is. It's all one is happening. One thing is happening, but it is us who are making distinctions of each individual thing. And the first distinction that we made is ourselves. As soon as we're born, we decided that we're separate from everything around us because we have to touch it, we have to feel it, we have to smell it, so we believed that we are separate from everything. Our parents told us, you're Angel, you're Raphael, I'm your mom, I'm your dad, so they're creating separation as soon as you're born. And and that separation is what I feel like kills us, because that first belief, the belief that you are the self, is causing you to believe all these other beliefs. And that is what I think is twisting and turning and kind of making our beliefs, like you said, when you take things out of context in the Bible, it's only because of what you believe. So if you focusing on information through the tunnel or the tube of your own beliefs, you know, then you're not going to actually get an unbiased experience and unconditional love. You're going to be conditionally loving things around you. You're going to love it because it's that, or you're going to love it because it's not doing this or doing that for you, you know. And so, but Bufo, and again, I can't speak for Kembo, but I'm sure that it was a life-changing experience in itself. But Bufo, it definitely does bring all these things to your awareness. And when I came back, and I want to ask you this question too, and then of course I want to let you go. But when I came back from my experience, the first thing that I became aware of was I felt like I was being fake. I felt like it felt like I was doing something wrong. And then when I asked my shaman, Dr. Gerry, shout out to Dr. Gerry, he did Mike Tyson's experience as well. Nice. On the podcast. Yeah. He actually said that's your ego attaching itself back to you. You know what I mean? And so that when he said that, I was like, so it feels like I'm not, like, all these beliefs, all these people that are in my family, all these things, they're not really me, and I'm trying my best to make it me. You know what I mean? And he said, yeah, that's exactly what's happening. No one is really your family because everybody's your family. Everything is everything. But I have somebody right here says Mark says I'm lost. But Angel, what about your experience when you first came back? What was some of the first things that when you realized that you're not at the peak anymore? What were some of the things that came to your mind?
It took me a little bit to kind of like go back into my body. Like I mean, for me, it was complete surrendering. From the moment that I did it, I was like, you know, I surrender completely to this. Like, take me wherever you want to take me. So when I came back, like, I couldn't get myself out of the experience. I was so locked in what happened and how I felt that I was almost in a like daydreaming state where I was not really like, everything was like slow. Like I was like, I felt so great, you know, from it. And yeah, I think that it was actually like, I was like sad that I wasn't still there. I was like, oh my God, I want to go back to that, you know, like
that's funny. You know, another friend of mine, she did it. You're still here. Okay. She said that's one of the main things that she felt. She felt like almost depressed afterwards because she felt like it was too short. You know what I mean? Like she wanted to go back.
I did journaling for like a week after that.
Oh, wow.
Wrote how I felt, and then I started writing the dreams, if I had any dreams. And I feel like it kind of like opened me up to a point where I wasn't really experiencing dreams. And then I started like dreaming a lot again, and actually like getting downloads from the dreams, because that's what dreams are for if you really interpret them, you know, because
right.
We're connected to the same thing that you know, Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, all these people were connected to that. That's the unified field. Is where is the consciousness where all knowing, where all knowledge is, you know, and everyone has access to that, you know. That's because everyone has their own genius inside of them. The thing is being able to get past the body and reconnect to that, to find like the answers to everyday stuff that you might be dealing with, you know, like always. There's another guy that I like reading a lot. I mean, and everybody, like, for people that might be listening, everybody has their own journey, you know, and we don't want to talk about levels because that's not what it's about. It's about you going through your experience and being on the level that you are going to be on your own experience. Because whatever my level is, or whatever, it has nothing. The fact that we're sharing this is to help people awake that there is more, and that you can't just expect, oh God, give me this, oh God, do that. No, there's work that you have to do in your mind in order to attract that. And then I would say to everyone, if you and if you don't, I'm gonna leave you with this. If you don't do the work, if you are wondering if there's more, yes, there is more, 100%. There is one more, like 1000% more. But you have to crave. You have to have the desire to want to have that more. It won't just come to you.
And in the Bible, again, back to
Yeah.
the Bible says, seek God and you will find him.
Yes, you will. And it's funny because everything is systems, everything is programming, everything is conditioning. You know, we go through our lives like being conditioned to believe, oh, you're a Christian, oh, you're this, oh, you're that. Okay, God has no religion.
Right.
God doesn't care.
Because if he did, he would be biased.
Yeah, there's no, then he won't be there won't be any unconditional love coming from God.
Right.
He sent his son to die as a sacrifice for everyone so that people could see how much unconditional love he has, that he sent his own son to die, to be poor, you know? And it's another message about, and I think if you see it that way and you're like, I mean, we all get triggered, you know? We all get triggered. We all have things. Maybe somebody does something to us. They cut us on the road. What if that time that you dedicate to complaining or being mad at somebody else, you dedicated it to manifesting?
Mm-hmm.
How different would your life be? You know?
Practicing that.
And just thinking about, and then we get into a different subject. But anyways, I think it's about everybody just jumping on the ride and saying, you know what, if you really crave being spiritual, or you really crave wanting to get in touch with your divine energy, then you should call for it and it will come to you. No problem. You don't even need to do Bufo. You can call it will come to you. But if you want to really experience how it feels to be
there,
you know, in complete like connection with consciousness, you gotta try it.
Yeah. And you know, one thing I'm gonna leave everybody with is just add on what you said, is that if you really do want to take on this journey, or let's just say you want to change your life, you know what's possible, you know what you want, you can see what is good for you. But the only way that you're going to get to the other side and actually manifest those things, you will have to do some self-work, some mental self-work. You have to change your mindset. It's a mindset thing. It's a mindset shift. And when you shift into that like letting go of letting God, or letting everything that God has in store for you, like opening up that door, you know, then you will experience it. You will experience the life that you want to live, because it's not external. It's not outside there. It's within you.
It's in you. Yep.
It's in you. But I want to let everybody know that my guy Angel here, he's a life coach. And if you have any questions or need any help, please feel free to get in contact with him. He's on your Instagram is already showing on the page, right?
If anybody, you know, like anybody wants to reach out to either me or my partner, she was also here. Her name's Bianca. She also does life coaching, just for advice or kind of like get an idea or where, you know, what the steps are. You know, I'm open to helping anybody and helping everybody. So just hit me up, you know, and just take it from me. Like, look, I've had this thing happen to me where I started suffering from chronic inflammation. No one knew. And I've literally had to do so much inner work to kind of like just separate myself from what's happening and say, you know what, the only thing I could do is be present, not pay too much attention to how it looks or what's going on, and just trust that my body has the information and knows how to get back to the way it used to was when it was healthy. And it was like 1%. And when you do that, then you start knowing that you are your own doctor. Like you're your own doctor.
Yeah. I'm going to be sharing this video on my Instagram. I'm probably going to share it on my YouTube channel as well. Narco, say hi. And I want you guys to get something from this. DM me if you have any questions. I'm going to respond to all the people that commented in here. I'm not going to put it on the video, but thank you, Angel. And I hope that we could do this again.
Yeah, we're going to do it again. You'll see.
Dope. All right, man. Till next time. I'll talk to you
Take care,
soon.
bro.
Peace.
Bye bye.